Aloha everybody and welcome to the Wild Wahine. This is Kaylani and this is your astro forecast for August 2nd through the 8th. Welcome, 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 where we kind of break down a couple of transits of the week that are going to be most influential. We're going to be talking about lots of planets squaring Uranus because that's pretty much the signature, which is going to culminate in the new moon that happens at the latter part of this week. So let's jump right in and talk a little bit about it. So essentially this week is all about Uranus. Uranus is the Great Awakener. That's like the nickname. It's all about shock and revelation, about new things, a sudden like jolt of lightning that wakes you up to something that is real for you in your life, or that kind of dismisses something, or that shocks you, all of those things. And it's essentially going through all of our personal planets, and it starts off with Venus. So Venus is trining Uranus. So this is kind of a positive aspect, right? Because it's a trine, which trines are of Jupiter. And we're going to be feeling that all the way into the 6th. It perfected yesterday. So some things that come with that, well, let's talk a little bit about Venus. Venus is our planet of beauty, our planet of relationships, social relationships, romantic relationships. It has to do with beauty. It has to do with art. It has to do with harmonizing and bringing things together. Uranus is about shaking things up and like dumping them on their head, and sometimes accidents or just like a streak of like brilliant light that comes through where everything becomes really clear and you suddenly know what you want. It's like that Neo moment in the Matrix where he's like, I know Kung Fu, essentially. So what's going to happen with that? Well, Venus is fallen right now because it is in the sign of Virgo. But a couple of things like that are of the highest vibration that can happen with that is you can have a new revelation in your romantic or even in your social relationships. Suddenly, you know, maybe it was kind of sort of going around in a very drudging or slightly boring way, and suddenly you look at your partner and you're just like, yes, that's the person I chose. That's the person I want. Or you go do something fun and suddenly it deepens your relationship. It deepens the love that you have for each other. You go through something that's traumatic or an accident, or even something that can be just suddenly you come into lots of money, or the goals that you were working for suddenly come through, and suddenly you're like, yes, that's the person I love. That's what I want to be with. I'm kind of rededicating myself to the relationship. So that's a positive thing that can come out of it. You can also look at somebody else and say, wow, that person's a lot more interesting than the person that I'm with right now, and that's where I want to go. So those are kind of things that can come with that as well. This is falling like in your first house. There could be a change, a haircut. You could maybe have like a stylistic change, something kind of funky or interesting, something that's like really well tailored though, because we are talking about Venus in Virgo. It can be unexpected gifts that come to you, unexpected presents, unexpected things that come to you that are beneficial to you, even though they might be shocking and you might have to do like a lot of work ahead of time. But when they come, they will eventually be something that works out for you. Uranus is neither like a malefic or benefic planet. It's just there to kind of get you out of the comfort zone and like shake you up. It can be about seeing suddenly like something beautiful in your life, a beautiful piece of art, going to a theater, any kind of like structure or beautiful structures that are built that are unique and interesting. It could also be tech that is like, aesthetically pleasing, that is helpful to you. There's things that are beautiful that like are physically made, that are like suddenly is like, here's the unveiling of this, or the unveiling of this new technology, the unveiling of how we're going to now use tech in a certain way. Some of the challenging things that can come from this are breakups, of course, sudden changes in the realization of how you care about a person. You know, maybe this is more of a friend type of situation. It's not a person that you want to have romantically in your life. Maybe a long-term friend is suddenly the person that you want to have as a romantic partner. So you're awakened to something new that kind of sort of shakes you up and has you make a decision. And sometimes it can be a bit of a rash decision. You could jump into things just for the thrill of it. You can go after the person that you like. If there's a person that you've really cared about for a while, it could be like ghosting. That's something that comes up where you meet somebody and then you're like really, really excited to be with them, and then after it sets in, it feels boring, and then you just don't talk to them anymore. And whether that be you being ghosted, whether that be you ghosting other people, it can be just being attracted to people who are kind of erratic and a bit irrational, and people who just fly or say things off the cuff, or you potentially doing that too. So those are all things to kind of sort of look out for and watch out for. Mercury is squaring Uranus. So again, these are just all these relationships to Uranus, the 2nd through the 5th, and it perfects on the 3rd. So in terms of Mercury, you know, Mercury is our mind. It's the way that we communicate. It's commerce, things that are going back and forth. It represents athletes. It represents communication and information that is going back and forth. So this, you know, with Uranus, which has that kind of electric, lightning, social media, technology, it's really techie and really brainy with this particular square. But there are, even though it's a square, there are some positive things that can come out of this. So you can get new ideas, specifically like new ideas for your business, new ideas of different technologies or apps for you to use, or a different way of using an app. Like if you've been using the app a same way the whole time, like I've been watching all this stuff like do Instagram reels or go live more because it'll bring more people, you know, you'll get more followers, and then suddenly you're like, I think I should do reels, or I think I should do this type of thing with an app or something that you've been using for a long time. Suddenly there's a shift in the way that you want to do it. Writing breakthroughs, if you're a writer and you're just having like not sure how to close it, how to kill off a character, how to add on a new character, suddenly that lightning bolt will go off and you're just like, this is exactly what I need to do. Trickster energy, so, you know, practical jokes, people playing practical jokes, particularly on you. I feel like there's always like things that can happen with technology. It's like, oh, I thought I cracked my phone, but I didn't, you know, or, oh, you know, like I thought something was wrong with my car, but I just only needed an oil change. Like those kind of weird things happen. Jokes, inappropriate jokes, you telling them, you being on the butt of them and all of that kind of stuff. Not really, just a lot of control in terms of like what you're saying and how you're saying it. For the most part, it'll be funny. Pushing through creative blocks. If you've had just been stuck in your creativity, this is a really good time to be open to a new thing that'll come in. So definitely be open. Some of the more challenging things is, you know, Uranus tends to be rebellious. You know, there's a rebelliousness to it. And sometimes you can have this, and we'll talk about this a lot today, the rebelliousness for rebelliousness sake, not because you did any research, not because it's right. I mean, you know, of course, Mercury is in Leo, you know, the sun is in Leo. So we have, you know, this like, I know that I'm right because I'm right, and not because of any other reason than the divine right of me saying I'm right. So a lot of times you don't want to listen to dissenting opinion, and you want to just kind of rebel against like everyone or the system or everything. And remember, we just came out of the sun and Mercury opposing Saturn, which put all these restrictions where we were trying to figure out who we are within the collective. We're still dealing with that, except for now we're having a bit of breakthrough from that. So we're kind of sort of breaking out of the heaviness of in the structure that Saturn was bringing. Some of the lower vibes though is a lot of issues with egotism, also being hyper stimulated. It's Mercury, so the mind is chattering, you know, lots of spending time on social media and texting and all of the energy and information coming in and out, and it just can feel like overwhelming with how much your phone is ringing or how many texts you're getting, how many emails you're getting. You're just feeling bombarded with information, bombarded with everything. So you can definitely feel like I need to chill out and take some time. So make sure you do that if you're feeling overwhelmed. And also just being unpredictable, changing your mind a lot, not really sure what to do, hard to kind of stick with something. You know, Leo energy is a fixed sign. It does like to be fixed. It likes to stick with something, and that's really challenging right now to kind of like lock in and stick the landing. Sun is squaring Uranus too. That was happening on the 2nd. It's going all the way to the 9th. It's perfecting on the 6th. So with the sun, same kind of things, except for this is our will. This is our willpower. This is our ego. This is who we are. Having that little bit of shift, having that change, having an awakening of who we are as an individual. Things that were really going to resonate with this is personal liberation. I want to be free and do my own thing, no matter what the collective thinks, no matter whether it's good or responsible. This is what I want to do, and I want to do it. Why? Because it's my divine right, because I know what myself, and I am going to be very public in saying this. And I'm also going to encourage everybody else to do the same, because it's like that big bravado kind of Leo energy. I'm a leader, you know, I'm standing for this, and I have 100 people behind me standing for it. So that kinds of things. Creative breakthroughs are huge though. So be prepared for that, for things that have been stuck, for things that have not been working. Be prepared for something to happen. It could be an authority figure that comes in and clears things for you. New opportunities can come up around this time, inventiveness. So make sure that you're kind of on the path to doing your thing, because there are things that can really break through for you at that time. Some of the challenges with this, as there always is, because it's a square, restlessness, manicness, erratic behavior, 1 minute being on this side, the next minute being on another side. You know, which side are you on? with this energy, because you're going to have the passion, and the passions might waver a lot. One minute you're for this, and then on Wednesday you're for something different. It can be really erratic solar activities or solar figures that are just acting very erratic. Solar figures tend to be people that are very visible, so that again can be celebrity type people, people who are in the spotlight, erratic behavior, erratic decisions, you know, that they make. So that those are things that can come up, and just also just, you know, a general sense of rebelliousness and not wanting to adhere to the laws, and not wanting to listen to what anybody has to say, and wanting to really do your own thing, which is good in some ways, you know, when you're holding your ground, when you're having your boundaries. But then also, you know, if you're never listening to anybody, you know, it's just like, don't drive over there, because, you know, there's a drop off and you drive over there and you fall over the cliff. I mean, you know, at that point you can't hold anybody responsible for your own erratic behavior. So we're kind of dancing between this energy of, you know, I know what's right for myself, and I know what I want to do, and I want to do it, and also like there's structure here, there's warnings here, and I, you know, should I heed the warnings, and should I do that, and what does that mean for the collective? And we can even just see that with how everything's been handled with the Rona. So next up is the new moon in Leo. And so that is going to be happening on the 8th. We are going to be going more in depth about the new moon in Leo on our Clubhouse tomorrow. It's 1 o'clock Hawaii Standard Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you follow the link to the Clubhouse, and you can just come and listen and get like a free reading. And so that's just a beautiful offering that we're giving for the new moon for everyone. But I am going to break it down here because it's important. So the sun, the moon, and Mercury are all in the sign of Leo. So this is like us, you know, like basically the way that we're thinking, our willpower to do things, and our emotional life are all in Leo. So we are feeling ourselves right now. Like big time. And that's squaring Uranus, which is bringing some different energy, bringing some change, bringing an awakening, bringing a shock, bringing a revelation, bringing an accident, bringing something that's going to like shift the way that we think about ourselves and what we want to do in our emotional life. And so we're going to be dealing with some of that in this particular new moon. So because it's a new moon, we're really balancing, you know, our conscious state and our subconscious state, how those two work together. The tension between self and the community. And when I say community, that can be your family, that can be your work life, that can be the community at whole, that can be the world, that can be society, your nationality, all of those things. We're still, you know, in that place where we're still dealing with that opposition to Saturn. So we can be, when we're dealing with the moon, a lot of it has to do with our emotional state, right? With this new moon, we could have new relationships, or deeper relationships with our family members, with our loved ones, with our children, a new relationship to ourselves and to our inner child, because Leo does rule the child. And so if you've been thinking a lot about childhood, a lot of stuff, childhood stuff has been coming up a lot. That's pretty normal around this time, figuring out things from the childhood, healing wounds and things like that from the childhood. What are we bringing into our adulthood that we still need to kind of work on, because, you know, we're a work in progress. There could be time that you're spending with your child. There can actually be, you know, with Uranus there's like, oops, I'm pregnant. Wow. New things that are coming in, a new pathway, a new way of working on things, a new way of finding yourself and who you are emotionally, a new way that you want to, you know, temper some of the blocks that you have, some of the things that have been getting in your way. You can feel a new sense of emotional freedom, especially if you're in a new relationship, or you go through something with somebody that bonds you with them, that makes you closer to them, and then suddenly you feel like more available to be able to share yourself and to be vulnerable with them. That's something that can happen at this time. Again, unexpected things that have to do with family and children. There could be domestic disruptions that can happen with this. There could be sudden changes in your body, because the moon rules the body, so there's shifts and things that can happen with that. There can also be home changes, you know, things that happen in your home. It could be a move that you're making. It could be a renovation to your home. It could be an addition to your home, maybe a roommate coming in, or somebody potentially leaving your home, like going off to college or whatever. So those kinds of changes in like home type settings can happen when we have the moon in this square to Uranus. Now Mercury is also co-present, so this is still going to be something that's very much in the mind, especially with the sun and Mercury. This is how we think. This is how we're processing information. This is the light that's going off. So definitely emotional conversations are happening, conversations that are happening that where you're standing your ground, where you're saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I don't stand for. You're being very clear about that. Communication that's coming from the heart, writing that comes from the heart. Also just a lot of things that you're sharing publicly, because Leo likes to share things in a public way. So sharing things publicly on social media, people actually having some sort of confessional that they're doing on social media, where you're like, wow, I had no idea that person was struggling with that, or they were dealing with that, or wow, you're celebrating with somebody because they shared something publicly was emotional for them and something that might be also kind of shocking. There is a tendency though to use a lot more passion than clear thinking at this time. You know, the emotions can get like overwhelmed, the passion can get overwhelmed. It's hot, you know, like every way that we're feeling things, the way that we're communicating, everything is in fixed fire. So there's so much passion there. There's not a lot of room for negotiation, you know, at this time really, but still be open to it. But anyway, this was your Astro Chat. I hope this helped you out. Again, you can follow me on all of the things. Like I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Clubhouse. All the links will be below. Make sure that you like and share this and follow me and subscribe no matter where you're seeing this. So have a fantastic week, you little rebels.